rewatching the videos and trying to make sure that I sound coherent as sane is, sober and abstinent, um, as well as distractions such as newts. Newts. Which again, now I can't show you because it ran away. But when you live in the woods, you get distracted, and it's unfortunate to sit here and play the discussion game of sanity versus, insanity or patterns of domestic abuse and defamations. And again, volunteering myself at vulnerability, inviting you into my life, inviting you into those doctor-patient confidentiality notes that become disclosed or undisclosed upon that signature. And so when you go to communicate of disclosure, or what they call in the government transparency, would be the Obama version of it, is the transparency of the same, Information Act, rights to information. Again, you don't want the rights to an atom bomb, but you might want the rights to a vehicle to get to the next galaxy or get to the next planet. Because if it comes to survival for everybody in here in the U.S., you might want to learn how to drive the damn thing. Who's saying Duke's going to survive it? Who says Trump's going to survive it? Or Elon Musk? Or even the people of NASA? You never know. You never know when that tornado hits or the hurricane hits. Who needs to fly the next automobile? All right, so think of it like the Jetsons. Go watch the Jetsons. You'd want everybody to know how to fly it. You wouldn't want to hold people back from it, because if there's only one person left on Earth with the automobile, but they don't know how to drive it or start it up, you start to figure stuff out about what that other side of society keeps lying about. They just lost the book to the UFOs we got. They just lost a little information book on how to change the oil thought process. That it isn't really a disclosed project. It's that the men that first found it on that side that wanted to know how to drive it didn't get invited into it, and they killed the guy, and didn't know how to read the startup book and the oil change book to the UFO, basically. So you guys just saw Rah Rah get killed and stuff, preventing my success. We go into prevention of my success, prevention of me making money. The TuneCore people in the digital data network of hackers and in the computing world, playing around with numbers and digital currency, making stuff just disappear, creating whatever numbers they want on their website. Well, while the money just disappears again, you can find their mental illnesses. I observed it. I watched it happen at that quantum level of computing. And unfortunately, a digital network of people that think for some reason when they hide it on the computer, the other person on the other side that's alive knows it was just a computation and somebody else is digitally, mentally ill. And it's a sad thing. And so in my vulnerability of expressing what those doctor-patient rights would be with my mom or myself, twisted testicle. Mom was considered schizophrenic to what your side of society describes us as, of what the same domestic abuses is. And this is how I describe schizophrenia. The lady today, I'm smoking CBD, cigarettes or whatever, and it's legal in a shop up here, and so I'm just chilling, hanging outside for my day, and I got confronted by a Quick Trip associate that wasn't outside, that didn't come to smell marijuana or whatever else. And again, the side of the argument to it is the defamations and predatory behavior of somebody just sitting watching me go outside for a cigarette and then coming back in for my food at Quick Trip. And again, she tried to play the domestic abuse predatory game. I sat down at the table and she came walking right from the computer room. She didn't come outside to smell or do anything. She was on the way other side of Quick Trip. She was just basically predatory, staring at me through the computer, getting pissed off. I was outside having a cigarette, just enjoying my day. And again, the jealousy that I'm just riding my bike and I'm just enjoying my day. I'm homeless. I don't have electricity. I mean, I have a home, but I don't have electricity right now. Trying to get a job, etc. And so on the side of the downed economy. I've gone into this defamations, but it didn't start. This defamations and this domestic abuse from the small town of Black River didn't start until grandma and mom passed away. Like, so I'm catching the racketeering attempts when again, you know, being invited to your side of society, just like my vulnerability over my twisted testicle, which again I'll prove to you in probably like 6 months to a year whenever I get my house sold and get a car. I'm going to go get the rest of my doctor-patient confidentiality notes, and I'm going to share it with everybody. What they document, what I would, what I would like to prove to everybody: sobriety, clean, no STDs, everything else. I would like to show it to you. That's transparency. This is the real transparency that the government asked for. The oversight cameras and the American peephole, everything they're doing, that's transparency. If anybody saw me cry for Samantha, that'd be transparency. If anybody ever saw me say, don't do cocaine, Shay, that would be a bad thing. That would be transparency. Uh, you know, and so in those weird little proofs of life, if you went through every oversight hour of my computer peepholes, you'd find that curious gentleman, the curious gentleman that in that vulnerability of who you cry for, who you fall in love with, who you're willing to get naked for, and who you're willing to jump in front of a bullet for, are very different things. Not everybody will jump in front of a bullet for their own brother or sister. It ends up being the opposite, and yet we're taught in the military: protect women and children, right? So you always, doesn't matter who it is, what male out here, you got to jump in front of the bullet to protect women and children. That's our mental illness standard. A mental illness. A selfish person will say, I shouldn't save anybody, I got to save myself. Um, but to the depths of that same vulnerability, only having a cigarette and watching her only walk over to me right from the security camera room, like straight defamations. She didn't come outside to smell if it was marijuana on my cigarette, nothing. She wasn't around me outside at all. I just went out for a cigarette, came back in. She walked right over to me from the security camera and said, we caught you smoking pot. I'm like, yep. Okay, you didn't come outside, you didn't smell anything, you personally didn't observe anything besides on camera, and you just walked from the security room just to be mad at me. I don't have any paraphernalia on me. Nothing. Check outside, we can go through the whole little cigarette butt container together. And then so after she confronted me saying, she said it was marijuana and it smelled like it, I said, all right, well, let's get documented proof then, or whatever. And so by the time I, confronted her to say, can we have the documented proof of today's consultation? I'm going to go do a piss test right now, and then I would like the documentation of you confronting me that you actually came outside to smell the marijuana, and that you actually knew yourself it was marijuana. And what ended up happening is then she denied me the paperwork for my rights to the confrontation from Quick Trip, admitting she confronted me saying she saw me smoking marijuana on security camera, but she didn't come outside and smell it. So I said, all right, well, let's just write it down. I'll go do a piss test right now, because otherwise this is defamations. You can't just approach people saying, well, you're on drugs today. You're on drugs today. And this is a point of getting clean. But the, the charges I'm about to press for predatory behavior from 3 police officers of Black River Falls, um, at least 6 women within the child support agency, um, workforce connections, and then employers from Arby's. Now the managers, employers at Arby's, and that I have to go after the defamations because today was the last straw. And predatory behavior, just watching cameras, only choosing me. And now we're about to go through the whole 2 years of how they pick and choose their victims, just at Quick Trip. And it's going to be sad of what this experience is going to be and who's going to actually get the ticket or not. So I'm inviting you into the vulnerability, expressing that today's last bits of defamations from me being a famous person, talking to Birdman or talking to Rockefeller or talking to whoever, again, ballet community, to Death Row Records, to Atlantic or Def Jam, it doesn't matter. At the top signature of what jealousy is, I'm just being beat up for being myself, and I'm not high right now. Again, you can look at my eyes, see how white they are. Not high, not on marijuana. Wanting to take a piss test. I want to take a piss test. I offered Quick Trip the piss test. He says, well, if you're smoking marijuana, you need to get off the premises. I said, well, I can have a cigarette in the smoking section, and it's just CBD, which is still technically marijuana, but it's CBD, which is, again, isn't illegal. It's legal in the state now. mom and pop shops everywhere. And so now I have to press the defamation charges against at least, 15 people in town here that I got figured out, because it's not going to stop. And the preventions of sales of stuff on Facebook Marketplace and some of their schemes playing these little mental illness games. I'm catching a little biker gang cartel on how they're trying to hustle me out of the last bit of my property, and so I lower it to a really low price for their profitability, which again will be another racketeering charge. But I'm going after it on Monday. So today I got my last fit of this defamations at Quick Trip. I treat it just like a trucker. A trucker gets, 9 to 11 hours a day, 8 to 11 hours a day, depending if you drive just quad axle or if you drive over the road. Okay. And if you drive over the road, which is again from Minnesota all the way down to Florida, and when you stop at a gas station after your 8 or 11-hour shift, depending on what you drive, a quad axle or, full 80,000 pound semi, again, I have my Class A CDL. I'm sure some of the stuff changed. It changes every 3 to 5 years, anyways. But in the old rules, it used to be, 8 hours on the road for a full semi, and then 11 hours for quad axle, and then you get your break. But if it's over the road, then you get your, you got to get your full 8 hour, 8 or 9 hour break in, for rest, for sleep. For truckers, it's a different type of mandate of, what sanity is of driving over the road, um, in terms of your hours driving at nighttime, daytime, or just your amount of hours during the week. And so you're allotted, being a on the road trucker, a specific amount of time at Quick Trips, Flying J's, and everything else to bow down to the 8 hour rest period. You have to take 8 hours of rest. And so in that, most truckers at Flying J's or Quick Trips, they get to sit for the full 8 hours in the parking lot, use the microwave, use the showers, use whatever else. And I treat Quick Trip like that right now. In my homelessness, I treat Quick Trip just like a trucker. I go in my once per day for my 8 hour shift of going basically from Chicago up to Minnesota, whether I'm working for Taylor Swift or whoever I'm a roadie for, on that side of not having a car. When you just come in and you just hang out at Quick Trip for 8 hours, I get my 8 hour shift to just hang out and charge my utensils, my cell phone, my devices, saving money in a different type of way, because I don't have electricity on in my house since grandma and mom passed. So in this vulnerability at continuous domestic abuse, I'm not asking for pity. I don't come into Quick Trip asking you guys for money. I don't do anything. One, two, I offered you a piss test today. I offered you a piss test at your defamations, and then also predatory behavior from your security cameras, because you were just preying on me individually. There's other people in the cafeteria. Why wouldn't you just go say that to anybody else? I see tons of other people. You have your own workers, coworkers outside having a cigarette within like 3 minutes before me. So you cannot go into defamation, say it's an illegal drug, marijuana with THC versus just marijuana that's CBD or hemp. That in the standard rights, I'm going to have to file a lawsuit, defamations of the whole town of Black River Falls. I just don't understand how they're not talking, and I'm catching it between the employers, between Workforce Connection, between food stamps. And they're beating me up because Gunner or Tevin or Jolene can't be popular on the other side again. It took me 15 years to get this respect with my celebrity friends. It took me 15 years. Gunner and them will get it too. Jolene will get it too. But you gotta keep going. You can't just be pissed off at other people. I'm sorry, but I'm catching you guys a little biker gang shit, and I'm getting pissed off, bro. Getting pissed off, bro. I'm not begging for this shit. But at communications, non-retaliation, only asking for a written document today. Hey, you're in defamations. Can we document this on paper that you confronted me about marijuana use? She said, no, I can't do that. I said, right, because you're lying. I wasn't on marijuana. It's just, marijuana with THC. It's just marijuana with CBD, which is hemp. And so on that side of it, she wanted to play the games with me and go into defamations and try and kick me out of Quick Trip. And so I confronted her, asking for the paperwork, proving the confrontation. It was on camera that she walked straight to me right from the security room versus coming outside, smelling it, calling the cops, doing everything in protocol. She didn't follow the protocol. So I got to press the charges. I hate to see women get paranoid in their thought processes of this and the defamations that I'm going through of that side. Whatever it is you guys are protecting here while you're waiting to give me my DVR back with Matt Crime, whatever it is you guys are protecting, somebody's in guilt on that side, bro. Somebody's in guilt on that side. So to cut off my food stamps, this will be the third time, 3 months. 3 months out of this last year, I didn't get my food stamps. Technically two, But after they prorate their days of the shut off to the on, even though when I follow it to a T, follow it to a T to make sure your 6 month wellness and blah blah blah, or not wellness checks, but your 6 month financial, FSET programming. See how much you make. Is it under the 1630 and whatever else for the month to keep collecting food stamps? And again, they're shutting it off regardless, and they're not obeying, even though I do it on the exact date. I'm getting so political now. I'm saying the day I will be making sure my documents are there are on the 5th. And she says, well, make sure it's there by the 5th. So I went on the 5th, and they're still prorating it when it should have been turned on right away. So again, now I'm neglected another 10 days, 15 days, according to their statute. But again, I got it in by the last day, the day she asked me to, and they still didn't turn it on. So I'm hitting some weird defamations and some weird racketeering, domestic abuse here. So I'm pressing the charges on Monday from a different police department. They're going to go back to full 3 to 4 years on the quick trip cameras of when I had a vehicle and when I would be there. Whether or not I was drug dealing, we'll do it for a full 7. And then, we'll give them the full 7, 8, 10. Let's give them 10 fucking years of what I was doing at Quick Trip, even in my diesel, grandma's car, whatever. Was I selling drugs? Was I not? No. Again, clean sobriety. So you guys are going to have to deal with the scrutiny. My own DVR proves it. There was no drug dealers or drug lords on my property, and this defamation is about to come to an end. Thank you for the latest little, $10 million lawsuit this is about to be. So again, I hate to see a couple women lose their jobs, but again, you guys are stepping past your boundaries to create terrorists, and that's not good. You want to protect women and children. You as lesbians getting caught in your police department manipulating the moms in town, doing these other defamations. Oh, he's high on drugs. Okay, we're gonna step into this piss test on Monday. The police are coming up here from a couple different freaking things, and I'm gonna spend my money in the house for this. Go ahead, let's racketeer the last bit of the house money, but publicly. Your excuses publicly. We're gonna do this like a celebrity. Publicly in the courtroom, publicly with references, publicly with every girl that was naked on my computer, publicly with everything, because your guys' psychology needs to be fixed, and I guarantee you this is gonna be amazing.